I was summoned into my boss's office, a place that usually carried a sense of quiet authority, but that day it felt different, thick with unease. Adrian Miller, my employer and mentor, sat behind his polished oak desk, though the man I looked up to didn't seem himself. His normally steady composure was cracked, his hands clasped too tightly, his sharp eyes carrying an unusual weight of sorrow. He gestured for me to sit, exhaling slowly as if bracing for something unbearable. "I see you as family," he began, his Swiss accent heavier than usual, each word deliberate heavy. "What I'm about to say will wound you deeply. Promise me you won't do anything reckless." His tone made my stomach tighten. I nodded, uncertain but bracing myself. Adrian leaned forward, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "Your wife Julia, she's been with my son Eric. They're together now on a honeymoon." The words slammed into me like a hammer, shattering everything I thought I knew. My chest felt hollow, my thoughts spinning. Adrian's regret was written all over his face. "Luca," he said firmly, sensing the storm inside me. "I know who you are. I know your temper. I beg you, don't act blindly. If you want retribution, I have a plan. It's exact. It's controlled. But I need your word that my son won't be harmed." I nodded slowly, fury simmering beneath my skin. His calm precision clashed against the wildfire in my veins. I left his office in a daze, replaying his words again and again. Julia, the woman who had sworn her loyalty to me, who claimed she was on a work trip in the south of France, was instead celebrating betrayal with Eric. Back in my apartment, surrounded by reminders of our life together, everything felt like a cruel joke. Photos, souvenirs, little pieces of what I thought was love, all mocking me. My first impulse was to confront them, to demand answers. But Adrian's words held me back. "Don't act rashly." He had promised a plan. The next morning I returned to his office, rage just barely restrained. "You said you have a plan," I muttered. Adrian nodded. "This isn't about violence, Luca. This is about precision." Eric, as Adrian explained, was spoiled and arrogant. An entitled playboy who had never earned anything on his own. Adrian wanted to teach him a lesson. I wanted justice. Together we built a plan that was as merciless as it was calculated. Overnight, Adrian cut Eric off completely. No more credit cards, no access to the family fortune. Their lavish honeymoon crumbled as hotel bills went unpaid, staff whispering about their embarrassment. Julia, who had likely pictured a life of endless luxury, was humiliated. But that was only the start. Adrian had a stash of compromising photos from Eric's past. Parties, women, nights of excess. Old, but enough to spark doubt. An anonymous email reached Julia, attaching the photos. Seeds of mistrust were planted. When they returned to London, reality hit hard. Eric, broke and desperate, was locked out of every opportunity thanks to Adrian's influence. Julia, once intoxicated by Eric's charm and wealth, began to see him for what he truly was. Weak without his father's money. Quietly, I disrupted Julia's own comforts. Her boutique accounts vanished, her social circle cooled. Piece by piece, their fantasy collapsed. Months passed. Their relationship, built on betrayal, eroded. The final blow came at Adrian's grand gala at the Waldorf Astoria. The elite of London gathered, and Eric believed it was his chance to restore his reputation. Julia, draped in a gown she could hardly afford, clung to appearances. I attended, blending into the crowd, waiting for their world to implode. As the night unfolded, whispers spread like wildfire. A journalist cornered Eric, pressing about his finances. Under pressure, Eric cracked. Julia's attempts to smooth things over only worsened the spectacle. Their facade shattered under the gaze of hundreds. Julia fled in tears. Eric left humiliated, broken, stripped of his arrogance. From the shadows, I watched. And for the first time, I realized true revenge wasn't destruction. It was letting them choke on the chaos they had created themselves. But it didn't end there. Eric's rage spilled into the open, shouting accusations at Julia in front of the guests, his words cutting and cruel. Adrian intervened, his calm authority silencing the room. He told his son the truth he had long avoided. That his failures were his own. That he had used everyone around him. For once, Eric had no reply. He stormed out, leaving Julia exposed. her mask slipping as the crowd's judgment burned her. In the weeks that followed, consequences weighed heavily. Eric, stripped of wealth and status, moved into a shabby apartment, learning the harshness of reality. Julia, abandoned and ostracized, was forced to rebuild on her own, working for the first time in years. Her glamorous social image was gone, replaced by humiliation and quiet struggle. One day, months later, Julia called me. Her voice trembled. She wanted to meet. Against my better judgment, I agreed. At the cafe, I barely recognized her. Stripped of her arrogance, she seemed smaller, raw, humbled. She confessed her mistake. Her foolishness in believing Eric was her answer. She cried, begged for forgiveness. I listened calmly, strangely detached. The rage that once consumed me had burned out, leaving only clarity. When she finished, I told her softly, I don't hate you, but we're done. Move on, because I already have. She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. For the first time, I saw she understood. Pain had changed her. Life carried on. I poured myself into work, rebuilt my happiness piece by piece, discovered joy again in simple things. Eventually, I met someone new, Sophia, a woman who valued trust and loyalty. Adrian and I grew even closer, bonded by what we had endured. Even Eric, in time, found his way, working at a small company, learning humility the hard way. And Julia, she too found her own path, no longer the woman who betrayed me, but one shaped by consequence. One evening, I stood on the terrace of my new home, watching the sunset bathe the city in gold. For the first time in years, peace settled over me. Life had broken me down, but it had also rebuilt me stronger, wiser. I finally understood. Strength isn't in vengeance. It's in rising above, in reclaiming your worth and living so well that those who wronged you can only watch from the sidelines. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the truest victory.